And hello, my brave knights, princesses, and princesses, and welcome back to another top phone talk about, again, the Isle. We've been sitting here a while, we've been waiting, and no humans aren't out yet, but other things have happened, so what's going on, Tyler?
Well, uh, and let me just, I guess, preface everything with a little, you know, before I state any, I guess, opinion. Um, with my opinion, I would like to say my most played game right now is The Isle with over 507 hours. Um, so my opinion is not coming off as, one of the where somebody who just says they got like 5, 6, 7 um hours on the game or 50. I have a good 507. And what has the game really done? Okay, well, they've completely revamped sound design for almost every single carnivore, herbivore, etc. They've fixed a lot of the performance from what I've noticed. You still got your bugs, you still got your lag occasionally. You still have the wonky sort of hitboxes, and I think the biggest issue is, for me at least, if you play the Isle, there's something that I take quality over quantity. And a lot of people don't understand that quantity does not just, direct itself to, for example, a lot of people when they say quality over quantity, you have okay, why? Tons of dinosaurs. There's your quantity. Good, a lot of dinosaurs, but the quality is something I'm at. Take Piranha, for example. People, is there quantity? Yes, but the thing is, it does have quality. It's got a flawless combat design in of itself. They've utilized the medieval sort of era better than a lot more better than any big name medieval game to date from it. The only other one that could really compete with it to me would be Mountain Blade.
Yeah.
Mountain Blade's a totally different game, but there are aspects taken from Mountain Blade to For Honor. But that's a totally different topic for another time. The Isle has one issue, and it is lacking quality. Now, people would say, well, it has tons of dinosaurs. Yes, but there's a word that I'd like to use called mundane. When you do something a lot, it becomes very mundane, very boring, very stale, very used to it. The Isle, unfortunately, is not one of those games that will provide you with quality. It'll get you plenty of quantity. And for some people, let me put I'm not bashing people who think quantity. They prefer quantity over quality. You know, this video is no way, shape, or form to you know to dismantle someone or just to talk down. If you like the Isle and you enjoy playing, go ahead and play it. Don't let some two idiots on the internet's opinion stop you. It's more putting your 2 cents in where you think the game. But personally, Phil, I will say this, and I think Phil can admit, you would never really got into the Isle as much as I did. You can
Well,
admit that.
it was more for me that when I started playing the Isle, yeah, it was fun. We had fun when we started playing it, but I stopped playing because yeah, it did get mundane, and plus they took out one of our favorite maps. But one of the things ZL did great was they added mod support, which meant that people were able to re-put in our old favorite map, which was the second map, I believe, with Spawn Lake and everything. Um, with that came the low frame rate problems. Before that and after that, we would play a lot of. I was on there a lot, and we also played that other map. I think it was map 4.
There was, V4, V3,
Yeah,
and
V.
Region 2 now.
I think V4 was the map we played on with the speech and the big lake. But let's see. Really, the game. Tutter's right about the game being stale, and the fact of the matter is the player base is also a pain to deal with because people just, as it were, don't care anymore. They re-added Sandbox, was what's good on them, but they've been adding dinosaurs. It's more that the dinosaurs at first when you play them, it's exciting, but then afterwards you gotta sit there and go, that's it.
Yeah. Um.
It's kind of like For Honor at the moment.
A lot, and
Although that's a
let's.
topic for another time.
Yeah. So let's look at it from this perspective. Okay, let's put out arguments for say for fan. Well, there's not much you can do with an open world, dinosaur survival game. You know what? If you were to use that argument, I would sit here and say you're right, but at the same time, with you saying that, I have every right to call it boring, to call it mundane. Okay, being as if you're going to give us a open world survival dinosaur game, therefore, by the way, still doesn't actually have humans. Um, it does not have. Okay, so they're supposed to be adding humans, a few more dinosaurs. I'm nowhere in shape or form a developer. I don't know what it's like to graphically design. I do not know what it's like to produce nor make a game. So that's out of the way. Um, sorry guys, I'm debating this and debating with someone else about it.
So all we know, one person could be working on the humans and dinosaurs at the same time.
Yes, and maybe they're finished, but maybe they're waiting for a certain time. Um, let's take Saurian. Saurian is
Okay, hold on. For if the modder who's for the person who's working on the models of the owl, if you're watching this video, props to you. You're doing a good job on those models. We love him, Tyler. We love him, right?
I love the guy who does the model.
Um, your attention to detail and stuff is amazing. It's just that we're not bashing you or any of your if anyone else who's developing the models and the noises and stuff. It's more that um the game there's more quantity than quality. Is that what we were trying to say, Tyler?
When you talk about quantity, you're more speaking of the sort of the amount in the game. Now, I want to make this clear. I don't want to hear, well, if it has quantity, it has quality. No, you can have tons of stuff in the game, but it does not mean it has to be quality. It doesn't have to mean it's good. You could have, for example, make a game, a first person shooter with 100 classes. But if they don't have uniqueness or a sense of quality where everything is different, everything's put a lot of effort in. No. So let's put this out there. Okay, the Isle has great models. I'll give you that. The Isle has a great, premise. It has a great, general idea. The Isle's idea is great. You had a lot of games trying it and they didn't do it. The Isle was one of the most successful, dinosaur games on Steam. Not really saying much because you didn't really have anything on there. Now,
So when we talk about like for example, let's take the T-Rex for example. Tyler here, as you all know and as I know, used to be probably, I'm just gonna say it now, probably the best T-Rex player on the planet because he was able, and I brag about this to this day, and I will keep bragging. He took on like 5 T-Rexes. Sorry about that. With 1 Rex. I think I have a video proof of it somewhere in my videos. You have to find it for me. But the point is, today you couldn't do that with the Rex because they nerfed him to the floor.
well, the Rex. Okay, I'm not the best Rex player in the world. Let's just, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm this because even if I did claim that title, it's a sense of unbiased for me then because I'm sitting here looking at everyone saying, okay,
To me, you are.
the balancing is one of the biggest gripes in this community.
Like a Shantu. A Shantu can literally stomp you with its feet and it breaks your leg immediately. It doesn't take that many hits to kill a Rex, nor does it. I mean, the Gigantosaurus or whatever it's called, the Gigasaurus. When that thing came out, it was over. That thing.
Okay. The Shantu at one point was OP just because of the alt turn radius, so where you stomped, you could alt turn, and the animation did not finish once it hit the ground. The animation finished once you stopped moving, which to me was totally idiotic. It was broken. Now with where it's now balancing wise, it's okay. I'm not gonna sit here and say the balancing is awful. They added the Ceratosaurus, which I feel bad for it because it really has no sort of good damage nor tanking ability. But we'll get away from that. We can talk balancing wise. I'll give you props, Io. You've definitely boosted your way up better than say you were at one point.
We
And I want
we
to make
we
this clear.
we could list off most of the dinosaurs and what's wrong with them, but what we're
I
what we're going to do instead is just give you what we're going to give you.
and I kind of do wish I had my girlfriend here who is a big IO player and let her give her opinions on why it's good and why it's bad. Then again, that's obviously a sense of biasm when you have someone, because she's not one to really. She's already claimed to me that she does not really care for others' opinions on the game. If I enjoy, it's good. Which I get that sense of saying I like it so it's good, but that does not. But in that sense, you are being very. You're definitely being what is the word? You're being really full. You're making your I'm gonna just ignore that. You're definitely blowing smoke up its ass. Yes, I used a swear word, but I'm not gonna sit here and blow smoke up the owl's ass because it's not what it used to be. And I get, but the thing that she's doing is you're not caring about the game's good because I feel like that. Well, one that goes in the sense of unbiased, and you are not able to you are letting your personal agenda get in the way of your, critical opinion. But we're not going to get into that. What she thinks is what she thinks, and you kind of have to respect if someone likes it or not. Now, what's good about the Isle?
Well, for one thing, the isles. I mean, the whole exploration of the islands themselves is pretty cool. You guys are just going to ignore my dog. The good about the isle is the dinosaurs are great. I mean, if you're someone who just wants a dinosaur game, this would be your game. But my suggestion to you would not to do survival unless you're somebody who lives in a basement or just has a ton of time on his hands. Um, you should play Sandbox, but I should warn you that in Sandbox, you will die a lot.
Well, allow me to interject, and I wanted to get on. There are two current game modes in its current state. We have sandbox and open world. Pick any dinosaur you want and roam around, talk with friends, kill, chill, relax, do whatever. That is the game mode where you pick a dino and you fulfill your dreams as what being the almighty T-Rex walking around and causing havoc wherever you please. There's progression. It is a point-based system for both carnivore and herbivore where you play as the lowest tier dino, and as time goes on, you progress to the next best tier. Um, so you have the herbivores that will eat blue progression plants, which will gain you a point. Each tier is its own set of points. You go, you know. So I don't know the exact points. I find the problem with progression to me is that it is the one when I say mundane, that is what I mean. Is you are doing the same, and you could argue this with sandbox, but I would argue the premise of the game mode itself. Progression is meant to progress to a different dinosaur, giving you a new experience. Okay, that's great. Sandbox is just pick any dino, play whatever you want. At no certain point does it directly make you, play a certain dino. It does not, promote you to, wait an hour to practice something else. Sandbox is just that it is already known to be just a sit back, relax server. Progression, on the other hand, is a time consuming where you take your time, you progress. My issue with progression is, people say it's the thrill of losing your dino. Okay, I get that. But then what do you do when you die? Oh, oh, that sucks. You just do it again and again. The first few times I get that. It's probably exciting getting back to your dinosaur, becoming the top tier carnivore herbivore. The first few times I would see the thrill. I would see the excitement, the thrill in it. But
Eventually,
after that,
it would just not be worth
yeah,
it.
just after that, oh, I'm a Utah gun. Okay. Oh, I have to progress through all these things again. Oh, great. Oh, again. And look, I'm gonna bring the subject, and I didn't want to. There is different servers where you have, progression servers, and there are things called realism servers. Now, I Phil knows that I vented. Me and my girlfriend, I have been a very big, criticizer and definitely a big, pusher, which is wrong of me to, criticize something so much when, obviously somebody likes it. But I'm gonna do it here, just, out of my personal. There is a thing called realism. Realism is based off, as they've added mod support, you can now make different dino. You can configure and change the dino stats as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And but the problem that I have is I get that I'm a guy that I'll deal with certain rules on a server. I get, but when you have a entire like list, for
Paragraph.
example, and it is rule after rule after rule after rule, there's every good server has a good about has rules. I cannot sit here and say I want to read all these rules and get to know all of them. I know I'd forget. I'm not even gonna lie. I would forget every rule that they did because there are so many to remember. For each dinosaur, there's a rule. There are profiles for how you act, for how you kill. It's the set idea of realism. And the problem about me is I like to believe that we have to be literate with how we use a word. Realism. To portray a server as realism when really it is all your own interpretation of what realism is gets to me. It's like we say, this is realistic. Well, how do you know? Oh, well, this is just how you interpret and you presume that this is. I can articulate many of things for realism, where this is realistic. If you're not going, there is no set, logical. There's no logical way you can look at me and say this is all realistic because realism, for example, has its flaws.
Realistic
And
realism, like realistically, if a Rex bites you
because
once, you should be dead.
yes. So when we look at that, the Rex is the one of, is has been nerfed a lot. There's a lot of things that have been like tweaked.
Oh, and the Hyperrex is gone.
Yeah, but the thing about realism to me is that we have this idea that this is a realism server, but the stats for each dino are based off what the admin wants. It is not based off, historical accuracy nowhere. So if you're going to realism like this is going to be historically accurate, no, that's not the case.
No.
They call it realism, but they know they're just trying to provide fun for the community itself. And I get it. I get why realism would be fun. You have carnivores who, you have, sentinel rules. You have to do this. You have to do that. And I'm
basically
pretty sure
the realism is basically how you interpret it. Like for one person, it could be realistic. For another person, they might argue otherwise.
But I would have to interject there, Phil, and say it's not about what we feel. It's as much as the admins for the server. The admins set down these rules, set down these stat changes. This is what our take on the realistic stats. And obviously, I'm just going to take taking off personal interest and personal feelings toward it. Because if you're telling me a Giganotosaurus has a stronger bite force and a better chance to break someone's leg than a T-Rex, you must obviously be like putting your head down a toilet with shit all over it and saying, this is how I view the Isle. No, get your head out of your ass and start realizing that when you are going to you're gonna title something realism. Make the server based off realistic and historical proportions for each dino. But no, their idea of realism is whatever the admin takes to believe is realistic to his set view. That is it. Rules that you feel will correlate with the server to make the server a fluent and well placed experience. That's all fine and dandy. The server has at least 80 slots for the one I'm talking about. Most realism servers has 100 or 80. The one I'm speaking of is more off this rogue realism. I tried one of them. It was called the Isle of Realism. And I can't tell you how, if you lift a finger in the wrong place, you get reported. My issue is the people that are so easy to just report you for the littlest of things. Okay,
meticulous.
So that's player. I can't blame the devs for that. You can't. I mean the admins. You can't. The owners of that server have a right to do whatever they want. And people say, well, then why are you critiquing? Because it's the idea that when you disagree, you can either be a silent opinionator or an open opinionator. I am one to openly, dispute my opinion. Whether you like that opinion or not, whether you think I have the right or not, I know that I have the right to state my opinion whenever. That is the beauty or the First Amendment of freedom of speech. Now, obviously, you can utilize your freedom of speech in the wrong way, but in this case, I am just merely speaking an opinion, a more negative and criticizable opinion on realism and on the Isle in general. That is not to. I'm not gonna sit here and say the Isle is a bad game. The Isle right now is not a bad game. Is it a good game? I can't go there. It is a you know
It is a okay game.
it is a middle of the bunch dinosaur game that remains top tier because there is no other game that's really competing. You have Saurian that is
Yeah.
nowhere near finished,
It's,
but I
do you want
promise you
do you
once
want to
that's
talk about
finished.
Saurian?
This is just the Owl video
Okay.
here.
Well, now if DL per se took steps to fix like things you've been talking about, would you consider it a good game then?
If what? Sorry,
If if the IO devs actually listened to us for some weird reason and fixed said problems, would you consider it a good game then?
who what? That's like
I'm
asking
asking
me.
you.
No, that's like asking me if For Honor fixed every single bug and issue and meta change to the better. Would it be a good game? No, Phil, it'd be a bad game. Yes, of course. If you fix all the problems, Phil, how can it be a bad game when there are no big issues in it? That's my say. I could say Cooks Are Delicious is a bad game for being very mundane, but the fact of the matter is, guess what? It's unique and where in the sense it has no real issues. It has no flaws to it. It is basically what it says. So when you ask me if they fixed all the problems, Phil, if they fixed all the issues For Honor, would you consider it a bad game?
No.
If you could, like, say you got 60 frames on it and you were doing great every single game, and you could, people just couldn't parry you all the time, couldn't spam lights, would you consider it a good game? If
Well,
there were dedicated
I would
servers,
like they are doing. Oh, anyway,
yeah.
they are going to be doing dedicated servers now. The IO used to also have the problem of their servers dropping. They still do that in certain servers, not every server, but certain ones. But thankfully, that's been fixed, sort of. The day they had humans would be nice, and vehicles. Like we know they will be adding those things. Just when,
Vehicles are a very big if.
like when though, is the problem. Um, right now, like Tyler and I heard that they were going to take out all the dinosaurs and revamp things, but they apparently didn't do that yet. They did add, however, like if you wanted to play like little baby carnivores, they've done that. They've basically done hatchling and juvenile dinosaurs, which is
Only
nice.
reason they're doing that is because if you want to know why, that we already know that. Because the problem about this is they're trying to change their game to be like Saurian. You can't compete with the game by becoming it. The IO is its own game. You become like Saurian, you just are considered you don't have any design, you don't have any fluent mind or decision making. You're just merely taking your profit to be like another game. So to put it simply, I personally right now for playing the game for 507 hours think that the game is top tier merely because it is the only great dinosaur game out on Steam. You can't have an argument about it not being there because it is. Do I think it is a great game? No. Do I think it's a bad game? No. It is just the middle of the box, $20 grab for dinosaur lovers. If you're a dinosaur lover and you just want to play as a dinosaur, buy this game. If you're buying the Isle for a unique experience, for a game where you can come back and do something new every single time, where you can achieve something, feel like there's a goal in set without being bored. I'm gonna say this now: the Isle is not your game if you're looking for something with a direct motive, something to achieve in that game.
Uh,
Because right now it does not.
yeah, instead go get Jurassic Park the game and build places. Or Zoo Tycoon.
But to put it simply, if you my rating of the Isle right now, I'm gonna put it 5 out of 10. I find it average. Like I said, middle of the box. It's not great. It's not bad. It's average. It's mediocre. It's what you would expect for a dinosaur game to be at this point. Then again, I can't actually say that because it's unique in the sense when it came out, but it's sandbox progression. Great idea for both. progression felt great at first, and then you start realizing you're really not achieving anything but doing the exact same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So sandbox is is a mode you chill, you hang out, but you have no real objective. You know, at
Um,
least Elite Progression does have an objective for quite a while, but the objective gets very mundane because it's the same objective over and over again. Therefore, I cannot recommend you buy it for a quality experience. If you're a person that just loves tons of dinosaurs and just want to play that, do it. But as my point stands, I think the game is just too average, and it's too stale and mundane for me at least.
yeah. My my rating for the is basically the same number because I honestly agree. So yeah, we will be back with our opinion on For Honor at the moment, which I'm sure everyone would love to hear. So we'll be back to discuss For Honor in a moment. Right, Tyler?
Sure.